What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, October 14th, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 4:57 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have two nuclear war command and control planes up in the air. One is over Wyoming, and one is over northwestern Louisiana. And earlier this afternoon, there was also a nuclear bomber that was flying over Oklahoma. Okay, so two nuclear war command and control planes and a nuclear bomber airborne today. So that tells me that U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert in case things escalate in the Middle East. Okay, we've seen many world powers, including Russia, say that it's unacceptable if Israel goes into Gaza. Okay, so there is a chance that this whole thing could escalate. All right. The U.S. is sending two more B-1 nuclear bombers to the UK. They sent two about 2 days ago, and now they're sending two more. So that's a total of four B-1 nuclear bombers moved to the UK in the last 48 to 72 hours. Okay. And they're saying that it was part of a long planned mission, a bomber task force mission. But yeah, I don't believe that. So that's pretty significant. The second aircraft carrier that's supposed to go to the Mediterranean, the Dwight D. Eisenhower, just left Norfolk Naval Base. And there was also a third aircraft carrier that left Norfolk, and that one was empty. It was the USS George Washington. Now, what's interesting is it's extremely unusual for an aircraft carrier to leave port empty. Okay. If they leave port empty, it means that they're going to be receiving planes from some other location, most likely an allied country. So, what I'm thinking is, they're sending this empty aircraft carrier potentially to the Mediterranean or the Middle East. So, this way, Israel can use that empty aircraft carrier as a floating airbase, basically a floating launch pad, a floating landing strip. Okay, in case Israeli air bases come under fire and get destroyed by Syrian or Iranian missiles. If the runways get cratered, then Israeli Air Force fighter jets are not going to be able to take off or land. So basically, the U.S. Navy is sending out an empty aircraft carrier that's going to function as like a reserve base, in other words. Okay. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Okay. But let me just show you guys the B 52 nuclear bomber that was airborne early this afternoon, and it was airborne at the same time as one of these nuclear war command and control planes, the Boeing E-6B Mercury planes, which are responsible for remotely launching all of our silo-based nuclear missiles in the event that ground-based command and control gets wiped out by a nuclear strike. And they're also responsible for transmitting nuclear attack options and nuclear strike orders from the Pentagon via VLF radio transmissions in the event that ground based transmitter sites get destroyed, which here in the US we have three of them. We have one in Washington, one in Maine, and one in Hawaii. And during a nuclear war, those transmitter sites would be one of the major targets by our enemies. So if those transmitter sites get destroyed, there has to be some kind of backup system to communicate with our nuclear forces to transmit launch orders and also attack options, especially to our submarines. Okay, so that's what these planes are for. They're very, very important. And to have two of them in the air plus a B 52 tells me that our military is on high alert, that our nuclear forces are on high alert. We also have a lot of military activity in the Mediterranean and in Europe right now. We have some NATO planes going to and from the Mediterranean and London. and various parts of Europe. Some of these are evacuation flights, evacuating citizens, civilians. Other flights are for transporting ammunition. So just a lot of military activity in the Mediterranean today. Here we can see a NATO plane, a NATO transport plane, an MRTT, that flew from Israel to Belgium. And then here we have an Oman Air Force plane that left London, and it's on its way to Oman right now, which is very interesting. An Oman Air Force plane, probably some kind of VIPs on board there. We have a Spanish Air Force plane, a C-130, that's just leaving the Mediterranean, probably full of civilians that they're evacuating. So a lot of activity in the Mediterranean. Here we have a Brazilian Air Force plane, a Peruvian Air Force plane, and a Mexican Air Force plane, all most likely evacuating civilians from Israel. Okay, so countries around the world are scrambling to evacuate people from Israel. Okay, they're trying to evacuate their citizens from Israel because they know that just days away, Israel is going to turn into a total war zone. Okay, it's going to become it's going to be like Ukraine. It's going to be a total war zone. The Middle East is going to turn into a total war zone. Okay, we have 2 aircraft carriers that are going to be in the region, potentially a third one, potentially a British aircraft carrier. Okay, you're talking hundreds of fighter jets between all those aircraft carriers. Okay, and there's just so much news coming in all the time. It's hard for me to keep track of everything. Here we have RC-135 rivet joint that was airborne last night, that was patrolling the Finnish border with Russia and the Baltic countries and their borders with Russia and Belarus. Okay, so here we have some video footage that was released by the U.S. military of those F-15 Strike Eagles that arrived in the Middle East. Okay, you can see the date here, 10/13/2023. Okay, this is just some B-roll footage of the 494th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron. Okay, 24 F-15E Strike Eagles arrived in the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility to bolster U.S. posture and enhance air operations throughout the Middle East. And like I said in my last update, guys, these F-15E Strike Eagles are the only fighter jet so far to be approved to carry the latest B-61 nuclear bomb, okay, which is the B-61 version 12, okay, or the B-61-12. Okay, it's the 12th version of the B-61, which is the primary tactical nuke that the U.S. has in Europe. Okay, that's what NATO countries have in their nuclear sharing program with the U.S. They have the B-61s, and the latest version, the 12th version, is a special type of B-61 because it's very, very accurate. It has a very advanced steering kit that steers the bomb to the target. So as a result, you don't need a massive yield on it because it's very accurate. And the F-15E is the only fighter jet in the U.S. Air Force that has been certified to carry this latest version of the B-61-12. Okay, so this is no coincidence that they would move these into the Middle East. Okay, should things get out of control, they have fighter jets that can deploy tactical nuclear weapons. Okay, and F-15E Strike Eagles, they're not expensive. They have a lot of them. It's not like a B-2 stealth bomber where if we lose one of them, it's a major blow to our nuclear triad. If, let's say, some of these F-15Es get shot down, it's not the end of the world because we have dozens more of them and they're cheap and easy to produce. Okay, it's not like a stealth bomber. It's not like even an F-22 or F-35. These are cheap, relatively cheap fighter jets that are easy to produce, and we have a lot of. So it makes sense to bring them into the theater because they're also nuclear capable. Okay. So it's no coincidence, guys. Nothing is a coincidence. The military does not operate on coincidences. Everything is pre planned, okay? We have some concerning information coming from Iran. Iran sent a message to Israel through the United Nations that it will intervene if the war against Gaza continues. So I'm going to read to you in quotes exactly the message that Iran sent to Israel. If the regime does not end the war in the Gaza Strip and stop the massacre and genocide against Palestinian civilians in the coming hours, we will tell them that it is too late. And after this, the political situation of the occupied Palestinian territories will completely change, and Tel Aviv will be the first of them. Okay, so they're basically saying if Israel doesn't halt its campaign against the Gaza Strip, that Iran is going to get involved and they're going to try to do a regime change in Israel. Okay, we also have the Iranian foreign minister, Abdullah Hainan, and he said no one can guarantee that the situation in the region will remain as it is if the crimes of the Zionist regime continue. And we have some breaking news that there's a massive IDF deployment of reinforcements reported in the Zakim part of Israel. Okay, Zakim, and this is apparently close to the northern entrance to the Gaza Strip. Okay, so Israel is building up its forces on the northern border with the Gaza Strip. That means they're getting ready to invade very, very soon. Okay, and we have indications from various sources that this invasion could happen as soon as tonight. Okay, so this invasion could be hours away, and Iran is saying that they're going to get involved if Israel goes ahead with this invasion. Okay, they just clearly stated it right there. And we have the Iranian foreign minister making his rounds through all the Middle Eastern countries. He went to Syria, he went to Iraq, he went to meet with Hezbollah. Now he's meeting with the leaders of Hamas. Okay, so nothing is a coincidence, guys. Okay, Iran is preparing an alliance to fight against Israel so they can attack Israel from all sides once Israel goes into Gaza. Okay, that's what's going on here. Okay, Iran is scrambling to form a coalition of Middle Eastern countries that would attack Israel once Israel goes into the Gaza Strip. Okay, so it's coming, guys. Okay, I hope and pray that that doesn't happen. I really hope that Israel is able to, clean out all the Hamas, militants from the Gaza Strip and restore order, and everything will go back to normal. But somehow I just have a bad feeling that Iran is going to form this alliance of Middle Eastern countries, and they're going to try to attack Israel. And then the U.S. is going to get involved, and things can spiral out of control. Okay. The Iranian foreign minister met tonight with the head of the Hamas political bureau in Doha, Qatar. German media reported that the IDF announced today it will start the ground operation against Hamas militants. Okay, so German media is reporting that the IDF announced that it will start its ground operation against Hamas today. Okay. And the Iraqi prime minister convened an emergency meeting to discuss the developments in Gaza. The Iraqi Popular Mobilization Units, which are basically Hezbollah affiliated militants in Iraq, announced, "We will fulfill our duty towards the Palestinian people, both at the humanitarian level and at the military level." Okay, so even militants in Iraq are going to be involved now. We have Iran, we have Syria, we have Hezbollah, potentially even Jordan. I mean, it's just crazy, guys. All these countries are trying to go up against Israel. An Israeli news company is claiming that the U.S. military will intercept Hezbollah missiles and attack pro Iran militias in Syria and Iraq if the war escalates into a regional conflict. Another Israeli news company is claiming that the ground invasion could start as soon as tonight and they were quoting the IDF. And the IDF said, ready for the next stages of the war, with an emphasis on a significant ground operation. Okay, that's what the IDF said, that they are ready for the next stages of the war with an emphasis on a significant ground operation. We have residents in southern and central Israel being told to remain close to shelters tonight. Okay, that's kind of ominous. We also have over 1 million Iranians that have registered to be deployed to the Palestinian war theater in order to participate in military operations as volunteer forces. And this was reported by the Al-Aqsa Storm website. So this is a website for this campaign that Hamas is waging against Israel. Okay. So over 1 million Iranians apparently volunteering to go into Israel, essentially as volunteer forces, not affiliated with the Iranian military. Okay. The White House fears that Israel doesn't have a plan for what comes next for Gaza after an invasion, and is pressing them to think beyond the immediate goal of eradicating Hamas. This was reported by Bloomberg. Okay. Israeli authorities have declared a red alert on the border with Lebanon and Syria. Okay, so now not just the border with Lebanon, but also the border with Syria is under a state of high alert. Okay, a red alert on the border with Lebanon and Syria. Multiple sources are saying that there were air raid alarms in the Golan Heights earlier today, caused by 2 rockets or missiles that were fired from Syria, and apparently they landed in an open area. And the Israeli army responded by firing shells into Syria in response to these rocket or missile launches, and they were targeting the launch locations. And various sources are saying that these are Iranian militias that launched these rockets or missiles, okay, into northern Israel. So those were just probing attacks, okay? They were probing attacks from the Syrian direction. They're trying to see what Israel's air defenses are like. So they're firing from Lebanon, they're firing from Syria. They want to see what Israel's air defense is like. Israel's national security advisor is warning Hezbollah to stay out of the Gaza war. We hope Hezbollah won't de facto bring about the destruction of Lebanon, because if there is a war, there the result will be no less. Wow, guys, that is just absolutely crazy. I mean, it's just so surreal reading this, and it's crazy. We also had some bomb threats in Paris at the Louvre and the Palace of Versailles, and people had to be evacuated. This is the Palace of Versailles. This was earlier today. People were evacuated. These are all tourists, as you can see. All right, Palace of Versailles evacuated due to bomb threats earlier today. Here's the Louvre, okay, evacuated as well. And here's another video showing the evacuation from the Louvre. Okay, so just absolutely insane. And Secretary of State Anthony Blinken left Saudi Arabia. Here's a video of him leaving Saudi Arabia. And earlier today, there was an evacuation that was ordered by the Israeli government. They told the civilians in Gaza to leave and to head south. And this evacuation occurred between 10 a.m. and 1600 hours today, local time in Israel. So there was a 6 hour period that the Israeli military allowed the Gaza civilians to leave. Okay, remember, yesterday they announced that they were going to give 24 hours for people in Gaza to leave. Okay, so 24 hours from yesterday is tonight. So I anticipate that this massive campaign is going to start tonight. And you have to remember that Saturday is the holy day for Jews. Okay, so it would make sense that they would allow the civilians in Gaza to leave on a Saturday while they have their holy day in Israel, and then Sunday they start their massive campaign. Okay, so I expect sometime overnight tonight it's going to start, and I will be covering it here on the NYPrepper channel. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell notification icon to get notified of these updates. Okay, and when I go live, if there is a massive invasion, which I know there will be, I will go live, okay, and I will do live coverage, okay, so you can bet on that. And Egyptian authorities are not allowing U.S. nationals and citizens of other countries to enter Egypt from Gaza. Okay, so if you're not a person from Gaza, okay, you're not like a citizen of Gaza, they're not going to allow you into Egypt through the Rafah border crossing. Okay. Um, the Jordanian foreign minister said that according to the Fourth Geneva Convention, preventing food, medicine, fuel, and humanitarian aid is a war crime. And so he was basically accusing Israel of war crimes by conducting that siege, by cutting off the food and fuel and utilities, okay, which Israel already did 2 days ago. All right, they already cut everything. They're evacuating the citizens now, and then the next step is going to be the air campaign. They're going to, bomb very intensely the Gaza Strip. Then they're going to probably go in with artillery and armor, and then finally they're going to go in with infantry. Okay, to clear every single building one by one, which is going to be a massive undertaking. Okay. 300,000 troops, guys. 300,000. That's twice the number of troops that Russia had when they invaded Ukraine a year and a half ago. Russia had like 150,000 when they invaded Ukraine. Israel is preparing a 300,000 man force, okay, which is just staggering. Okay, it's massive. Okay, so it's coming, guys, any hour now. And you heard the threats from Iran. After a meeting that lasted about an hour and a half, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken left the Saudi Foreign Ministry headquarters after a closed meeting with the Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan. Israeli residents along the border with Lebanon have been told to take shelter until further notice. Okay, so something could be happening, guys. They're expecting possibly an invasion from Lebanon. And like I told you, the Israeli government told people in southern and central Israel to stay close to shelters tonight. And at the Lebanon-Israeli border, militants fired more than 30 mortars and 3 anti-tank guided missiles at an Israeli army outpost. And apparently a radar was damaged, okay, by the anti-tank guided missile, which was fired by Hezbollah militants, okay? That's the second radar that Hezbollah has taken out. Okay, so they're trying to basically blind Israel on the northern part of the country before they invade. That's what I see. Okay, I see that Hezbollah, they're trying to take out all the radars before they try to go in on the ground and invade Israel. But I think it's coming, guys. I think Israel's going to get invaded by Hezbollah. I think Syria is going to get involved, and I think Iran is going to get involved, and then I think the U.S. is going to get involved, because the U.S. already said that they would not allow Hezbollah, Iran, Syria, or anybody else to take advantage of the situation. Biden said it multiple times. The Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said it multiple times. The Foreign Minister of the U.S., Anthony Blinken, said it numerous times. So the U.S. is going to get involved if those forces try to attack Israel. Okay, you don't move multiple aircraft carriers and nuclear capable fighter jets to the region for no reason. Okay. Uh, Apparently, military planes of multiple countries are now scurrying to evacuate diplomats and foreign nationals through the Ben Gurion airport. And I showed you guys some of the flight paths of that. The State Department has authorized the departure of non-emergency U.S. government personnel and eligible family members from Israel. Okay, so the State Department is telling its people, get out of Israel now. Again, because they're anticipating that Israel is going to turn into a war zone like Ukraine. That's why all these countries are evacuating their people. And we have some interesting information that apparently Israel's preparing to deploy a laser weapon system for the first time. And this would be the first combat test of a laser system in the world, the first time a laser weapon has ever been used in war. And Israel's apparently going to use it to intercept rockets that are going to be launched towards their country. Okay. We had a pro-Palestine protest earlier today in London, and the EU Commission is going to be giving $50 million in humanitarian aid to the civilians that have been evacuated from Gaza. So that's pretty much the latest information that I have. And before I go, I just want to mention the sponsor for today's video, which is My Patriot Supply. If you use the link in the description below this video, you can get 25% off of My Patriot Supply's 3-month emergency food supply. And this food has a 25-year shelf life, and it's sealed in 6 rugged, water-resistant buckets. And the price is reasonable, and it's 3 months of food. So if you buy this package, you don't have to really worry a whole lot about your food storage. You know, cans are great, but they're heavy and they're bulky. Here you have 6 pails, okay, and the pails are small. They're, you know, like the size of like a 5-gallon bucket. Basically, they don't take up a lot of space. So even if you live in an apartment, if you have a small house, if you live in a trailer, you can easily fit, you know, several of these buckets in a closet, no problem. Okay. So use my link, preparewithnyprepper.com, and you'll get 25% off of the 3-month supply. They also have a 2-week supply. Okay. So check them out. They also have a store. If you click on the logo up here on the top of the page, you can go to their store. And their store basically has everything you would ever need: potassium iodide, seeds, water purification, all kinds of survival stuff. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com and you'll get 25% off. And other than that, guys, I will keep you updated on the situation. If Israel does invade Gaza tonight, I will go live. Other than that, I'll post another update sometime later tonight before I go to sleep. So take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.